Good morning, students. Myself Kamal Nath. Once again, I welcome you in the class of English. This week, we are learning another chapter, Unit 8, The Wolves of Cranogres. And this is the second video. In the first video, I started and introduced its author. And this is the part that is the middle part of the story. We are going to see what is in the middle part of the story. In the first part, you came to know about the family, Grubel family, who had shifted in the castle, and they had a maid whose name was Amele, the governess. We came to know about a little here history of the castle, what the Baroness told, and then what the governess corrected about the story, about the lesson. Let us see in this part what is it. As you know, here in this part, she is remembering, the governess is remembering her childhood, her life in the beginning, how it was, to give the authenticity, the proof that she was one of the born Cranogres. He belonged to that family, Cranogres family. To say so, she was lost in her thought, in her past, in her childhood. And she is telling here, when we became very poor, she exclaimed. She told about her life, about her family's condition when they became very poor. And I had to go out and give teaching lessons. I took another name. I thought it would be more in keeping. But my grandfather spent much of his time as a boy in this castle. She was talking about her grandfather, that he gave much time, he spent much of his time as a boy, when he was a boy in the castle. And my father used to tell me many stories about it. And of course, I knew all the family legends and stories. As her father used to tell several stories related to her family, related to her forefathers in the family. So she knew many legends, many stories about her family. When one has nothing left to one but memories, one guards and dusts them with special care. I little thought when I took service with you, she told, the governess told to the Baroness, that she thought when he joined her service, that one day she would come with her, and as she is telling, I took service with you, that I should one day come with you to the old home of my family. And she had come there. I could wish it had been anywhere else. There was silence when she told the story of her family, of her father, of her grandfather. They all listened and they all were silent. So there was silence when she finished speaking, and then the Baroness turned the conversation to a less embarrassing topic than family histories. But afterwards, when the old governess had slipped away quietly to her duties, when the governess left the place and went to join her duties, the work she had to do in the family, there arose a clamor. Then there was a loud confusion of noise only, that everybody started talking, sharing. Clamor of derision and disbelief. They all were sharing their ideas. They didn't believe the governess, the old lady, what she had told about the castle, about the family, what she told about her father, grandfather. They started just sharing their ideas, their belief and disbelief. It was an impertinence, snapped out the Baron. Baron told it was disobedience of the governess, that she was sharing and she was just determined She tried to make them believe about her family, about the story of the castle. His protruding eyes taking on a scandalized expression. Fancy the woman talking like that at our table. The Baron told how the old woman dared really to talk like that at their table. She was just a maid. She almost told us we were nobodies. She was telling that there were nobodies there. And I don't believe a word of it. He told that he didn't believe a word what she had told. She is just Scamnit. Scamnit was what her name only, and nothing more. I can't believe anything. She is our maid. She is a Scamnit, the name she had. She has been talking to some of the peasants about the old Cranogres family and raked up their history and their stories. The Baron told that perhaps the old lady was telling about peasants. Their families were peasants, farmers, and she was telling the stories of theirs. She wants to make herself out of some consequence, said the Baroness. She knows she will soon be past work, and she wants to appeal to our sympathies. Her grandfather, indeed. She wanted to tell that the lady perhaps knew, the old lady knew that her work will be just really snatched. She would be dismissed from the work. And that's why she wanted to appeal for the sympathies, for the family, from the family's sympathies. And that's why she was telling that kind of stories, that she belonged to the Cranogres family, to the castle. The Baroness had the usual number of grandfathers, but she never boasted about them. I dare say her grandfather was a pantry boy. Okay, she told even that perhaps her grandfather was a pantry boy, means was working in the kitchen or something of the sort in the castle. Sniggered the Baron. That part of the story may be true. That may be true, that her grandfather may be a pantry boy here in the castle or any other worker. The merchant from Hamburg said nothing. He had seen tears in the old woman's eyes. The merchant was sitting silently listening to their conversations, their arguments, and he had seen tears in the old woman's eyes when she spoke of guarding her memories, when she was sharing her memories related to the castle, or being of an imaginative disposition. He thought he had. I shall give her notice to go as soon as the New Year festivities are over, said the Baroness. Baroness declared her decision that she was going to give her notice to the old lady that she would dismiss her job. Till then, I shall be too busy to manage without her. And she told that before that here festivities here, she was not able to do the work as she would be too busy in the family, guests would come, she could not manage without her. So after the New Year festivities, she would dismiss her, give the notice to the old woman to leave the job. But she had to manage without her all the same. Before she could tell her that her job was no more, she had to manage without her only. She had to do herself all the work before that. For in the cold biting weather after Christmas, the old governess fell ill and kept her to her room. It so happened that due to the old year, biting cold weather after Christmas that was here, the old governess fell ill and kept her room. It is most provocating, said the Baroness, as her guests sat around the fire on one of the last evenings of the dying year. She said that it was really most annoying and irritating for her. There were guests here. House was here full, family was full of guests, and the governess was laying on the bed, being sick, being ill. All the time that she had been with us, I cannot remember that she was ever seriously ill. Too ill to go about and do her work. I mean, the Baroness told that never she had seen the old lady so ill, so seriously ill, like she was at that time. And she said that she meant so. And now, when I have the house full, means the house family was full of guests, and she could be useful in so many ways, she goes and breaks down. One is sorry for her, of course. Of course, everyone is sorry. She looks so withered and shrunken. She is looking so weak, so feeble, but it is intensely annoying all the same. But at the same time, it feels that it is really intensely here, just annoying everybody, irritating everybody. Most annoying, agreed the banker's wife sympathetically. Banker's wife also shared her view that it was really most annoying. It is the intense cold, I expect. It breaks the old people up. It has been unusually cold this year. And she told that year it was here too cold. The frost is the sharpest that has been known in December for many years, said the Baron. And of course, she is quite old, said the Baroness. She told that no doubt she was ill and she was now very old. I wish I had given her notice some weeks ago. Then she would have left before this happened to her. Why? Wappy? What is the matter with you? Wappy. Who was Wappy? Wappy was the dog, little dog. The small woolly lap dog had leaped suddenly down from its cushion and crept shivering under the sofa. The dog leapt from the just lap, and it just shivering only went and crept just under the sofa. At the same moment, an outburst of angry breaking came from the dogs in the castle yard, and other dogs could be heard yapping and barking in the distance. The sound of the dogs could be heard, that they started barking. What is disturbing the animals? Asked the Baron. Baron at that reacted and told what made the dogs to bark at that time. And then the humans, listening intently, heard the sound that had roused the dogs to their demonstrations of fear and rage. Heard a long-drawn whinnying howl, rising and falling, seeming at one moment leagues away, at others sweeping across the snow until it appeared to come from the foot of the castle walls. And they could hear that the dogs were becoming more and more rapacious, very angry, and they were barking, and more dogs were joining to them at that moment. All the starved, cold misery of frozen old, all the relentless hunger fury of the wild, blended with other forlorn and haunting melodies to which one could give no name, seemed concentrated in that wailing cry. And they all came. They all started doing so. Together, wolves, cried the Baron. And then Baron was alert. Baron was now quite conscious when he listened and told, yeah, wolves are making sound. So after that, what happened when they heard these all sound only? What changes took place in the castle? What was the turning point after that? I will share in the next video, and I hope that You will enjoy the whole story when we will come to the end of the story. What is happening? What was the myth? What was the legend that we all have here seen in the story? What the family members are sharing? All that in the last part. So I am sure that you must be going through the whole story, and you watch this, whatever the content is there, I have shared you. So thank you, student. Thank you very much being with me, the part of this video. Thank you.